Hey guys! One of the things I've always said is that one of the great things about Robotech is how the characters have these emotional moments, these defining moments. And today I'm going to count down 10 emotional moments from Robotech. And there will be spoilers. Rick and Minmay get trapped inside the SDF-1, and throughout their journey to find a way out, they really get to know each other closely. It grows to the point where after Rick cheers up Minmay, she asks Rick to kiss her. This is a sweet, touching moment in the saga that, even though their kiss gets interrupted, it sets up their relationship throughout the rest of the series. The reason that it's only number 10 is that it's shown over and over again throughout the Macross saga and even in the Sentinels, desensitizing you to the moment. It's getting to be the end of the journey. The band of freedom fighters has reached Reflex Point. During a skirmish, Marlene is wounded and her blood is green. And as Annie states earlier, Marlene looks back at the group terrified, and they look back, shocked, and she runs off. Only Rand tries to go after her, but Scott stops him. This is a turning point for Marlene/Ariel's character, and the group as a whole. Scott in particular shows some signs of change. Honestly, I wanted to put this moment higher, but there are moments ahead of it that deserve to be ahead of it. In one of the most sincere scenes in the Shadow Chronicles, Vince is in the hospital with a broken leg, and his wife Jean is taking care of him. He laments how he was unable to help Rick after all Rick has done for him. Jean comforts him by telling him that Rick cheats death all the time and that they will find him. The scene does a good job of establishing that Rick and Vince's relationship, as well as establishing Vince and Jean's. If there were more moments like this, there might be a different opinion of the Shadow Chronicles. Lisa figures that with new information about the Zentradi, the Earth Council would have to change their mind about negotiating peace, and leaves, knowing that she'll be unable to come back. Rick finds out and rushes to help fly cover for her. He sends her a message through Morse code before heading back to the SDF-1 as she enters the atmosphere. This is the first real Rick and Lisa moment for me. They had some moments before here, but with them possibly never seeing each other again, they cut the crap and get to how they feel. General Emerson gets captured along with Lieutenants Brown and Crystal. The 15th Squadron, as they have throughout the war, pull off a surprising and successful escape. Or so they think. An enemy surprises them and Emerson jumps in front of the fire to save Bowie. Emerson voices his regret to his godson that they never saw eye to eye before dying in his arms. This scene shows that Emerson and Bowie were both close at one time, and that Emerson would keep his promise to Vince and Jean with the biggest sacrifice of all. Lunk attempts to make right a promise he made, but not only can he not find the person he's looking for, but the town is also remaining mum on the subject. After some investigating, it is discovered that the town ganged up on the man and murdered him for wanting them to wait for the expedition to fight the Invid. This episode is like an onion in that it has several layers. There's Lunk, who's trying to keep a promise to a friend he wronged. There's the town, who murdered a man and is trying to keep the secret hidden. And there's the fact that the town got their butts kicked because they are terrified of the Invid now. This episode is close to the top for most fans. Roy Fokker, the man established as the best pilot in the RDF, a close friend and mentor to Rick, Max, and Ben, goes up for just another mission, with a date with his fiancée Claudia afterwards. The battle ends and he seems fine. He's sitting in Claudia's barracks playing guitar, when suddenly he falls on the floor. It then shows Claudia with a doctor and a nurse standing around Roy, and the doctor informs her that Roy died. This is emotional because of the role he played in the Macross saga up to this point. Zor Prime defeats the Robotech Masters and launches Dana out of the Masters' flagship to safety. At that moment, he makes it his mission to right all of the original Zor's wrongs in one fell swoop. He flies the flagship over the Macross mounds and then fires on the core, destroying the ship and the mounds in an attempt to contain the spores and prevent Invid attack. His plan goes horribly wrong though, as his actions actually spread the spores over the entire Earth. This all but guaranteeing the Invid invasion and occupation. The emotion might not come from a human element, but it's still there. All of the major leaders in the army are now dead. The army was pushed to the point where they no longer have a will to fight. And there's something much more sinister approaching. And the one person they needed the most, Zor Prime, just sacrificed himself to no avail. It makes you realize that all of the events leading up to this, everything you just watched, was for nothing. When you start to think about it, it hits you. Korg shoots Scott down during the battle, and Ariel runs to him to make sure that he's alright. He pushes her away, saying his only purpose is to kill Invid. After he finally kills Korg, he encounters Rand and Rook, who confront him about how he treated Ariel. Rand reminds him that at one time humans fought each other, and he could have lost Marlene to another human. That prompts Scott to say that, then what was this all for? This moment works well because Scott cuts through all the Admiral Hunter pretense and reveals that this entire thing was actually about revenge. It's not a sad scene like most on the list, but is full of emotion and reveals where Scott is at this point. The moment everything Macross has been building to, Minmay asks Rick to give up the army for her. Then, Lisa confesses her love for Rick before telling him that she's going to be leaving the Earth. Chiron decides to attack, and Rick chases after Lisa, leading to the final confrontation between them. Minmay laments the war and how it'll never end. Lisa counters by telling Minmay that they have a job to do, and that she may never understand that. On top of this, the entire interaction is happening while the city's on fire, and explosions are going off all around them. The scene ends with Rick and Lisa running off to battle while Minmay is left standing, dejected, in the blazing city. This moment is number one for me because, as I said, the entire Macross section has been building to this. Add to that the setting, Minmay being left dejected, and what's to come later in this episode. There's many emotions, from satisfaction to apprehension to sadness, all to be felt at the same time. Hey guys! There was never a moment where I didn't think that would be number one. But what did surprise me was how many moments actually came to my head just without me actually having to think about it. It really makes you realize how much more complex the show is than just what's on the outside. But that's just my list. Everyone has their own. Leave yours down below. And also tell me what other top 10s you'd like to see from me. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later.